Hello, good morning, and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. You join me in California. It's a perfect day out here, blue skies, no wind, and I have a Porsche Macan EV. Now, this is a pretty close to production car. It still has some prototype camouflage and stuff over there. Nothing to affect the aero, and we are going on a range test. It will also be my first time ever driving a Macan EV, and I think I'm one of like 2 people outside of Porsche to even have a go in this car this early. So there's some things I can't tell you about it, driving impressions, stuff like that, but we can nerd out about the car, go through the technical details. I actually have a whole technical deep dive on the Macan EV if you're curious. And then of course, we're gonna go for a range test and see how far we can go at 70 miles an hour. I'm gonna walk you through why this isn't typically a standardized range test, how I would like to do it, but of course we're gonna take every opportunity we can to gauge the efficiency and range on the new fully electric Macan. And here it is. I've got a Gatorade ready to go because the Starbucks line was so long. And this is my car for the day. I have to say a huge thank you to Porsche for letting me have a go truly in some of their mileage accumulation prototypes. These are the cars that have been spotted around the US market doing testing and a whole bunch of other things. And today, well, this is what we're going to be going on a range test. Now, they both have a roughly 100 kilowatt hour gross battery pack. They both have dual permanent magnet motors. This one's on the aero wheels though. I believe 20-inch aero wheels. It's a Pirelli Scorpion MS. Okay, OE maybe. What size is this one? 285, 45, 20 in the back. And up front, it's an electric optimized tire, of course. Same tire, but I know that it's a staggered 235. 55 R20, so a really big stagger on this one. The front tires are almost like pizza cutters on this thing for such a big Macan. And other than the wheel size and everything, there's just so much to get into on this car. So let me just remind you briefly of the technical details of this thing. I'm going to show you around it. I'm able to now show you the interior of the car. This one's still a prototype with the red button here. We'll actually have one of the guys, one of the engineers who's responsible for the entire car line joining me, and he's a super nerd like you guys would expect. Look at all this. How sick is this? Just cabling, wiring, everything. So I want to make it clear, we are not going to be considering this as a full range test number that we're going to compare to the other cars we have also tested on this channel. We are going to be getting a taste of the range, but I want to run it in the loop in Colorado up to Wyoming and Nebraska at high elevation where we compare all of our cars in range tests to really do the comparison. But this is a great way for me to spend an entire day, many hours of driving the Macan to really get a sense of what it's like. So let me give you the technical details. On the high side, we're going to, of course, let it complete at 100%. The test engineers made sure the battery was at the right temperature. They have all the nerdy data on this car, and Robert's going to be with me. You guys are going to love Robert. He is truly super nerd on this thing. Let's open up the trunk, and we have, oh yeah, we love it. German Achtung. All of the great test equipment stuff. Love this. So let's run through the tech specs, run through the testing procedures, and then we'll hit the road. Prototype stuff. So if you haven't yet, I highly encourage you to watch the 1 hour long tech nerd fest on this car. I run through the battery pack, the operating voltages, the motor layout, the chassis setup, everything like that. The one thing I'm able to share today that we don't know, of course, is the range figure on the car. So just to walk you through briefly what we're going to experience today. I am here at a hotel in California, and Porsche was kind enough to let me go have a go. But this isn't going to be like a typical out of spec range test. I am going to go 70 miles an hour for as much as possible, 70 mile per hour constant speed. We're going to log the efficiency, and we're going to go out into the desert, hopefully no traffic. There's no wind. It's perfect outside, but there is a little bit more elevation than I'd like. Not the end of the world. And we are going to run it to 0. We're going to go from full to dead and see what number we can log. So a bit about the Macan. Macan comes standard on air suspension in the US, which is pretty cool. So we're going to be locking it in the low setting. There's actually no range mode in the Macan. It's just normal mode. Has a dual permanent magnet setup with no clutch disconnect. We're going to ask Robert about that in the car a little bit, get the impressions of why that's the case. And then after, I might even have a chance to charge it. I do have a flight tonight, and there is a charging station, an EA station here, but the guys were saying that's always full of lines and the chargers don't always output full power. So maybe we won't be able to get a full charging session on it, but I'm certainly going to try. So we have 100 kilowatt hour gross, usable. Robert knows, he won't tell me. I'm like, we're going to find out either way. So hopefully throughout this test, we're going to go 100 to 0. We'll look at our consumption and roughly gauge the usable energy component. The cars, interestingly, are not EPA range rated yet, so we're not sure what the actual number will be. And with Taycan especially, there was such a huge delta between the EPA range rating being, you know, low to mid 200s to us constantly getting high 200-mile range. I'm expecting, I don't know what to think. My guess is somewhere around 260 to 285 miles today in the Macan on a range test. It's a big, heavy car, of course, dual permanent magnet motor. This one is going to be 2 people in the car with some test equipment. It's not like a fully perfect test, but I think, yeah, I think we'll probably be able to get a pretty good number here, but I don't think we're going to see 300 miles. Maybe we will, I'm not sure. This one is spec'd without the rear windshield wiper, although I believe all the US cars will have them. All the US cars will also have the sunroof. This one is spec'd with the roof rails, which are optional, but Robert was saying makes no difference on the range, negligible. He's like, there's so many other factors today. We're not doing this in a laboratory that those roof rails aren't gonna make or break anything. So let me take you on a quick tour of the car. We'll unplug, we'll hit the road. So this one, we're charging up on the secondary charge port here. This is just the AC charging port. Macan launches with a 48 amp, 11 kilowatt onboard charger. And on the other side, we have our AC and DC plug. And so this is where it can do 270 kilowatts. The car is going to request 400 amps from the charger. It's not 800 volts. Porsche will tell you it's 800 volts. It's not. It's like 640 volt nominal. And then I think 725, 726 full. So it's quite a large operating range. This is built on PPE, Premium Platform Electric, Platform Premium Electric, one of those two things. Shared platform with Q6 e-tron. But the Macan is optimized from the Porsche guys. So I did a whole video on this. Again, I encourage you to watch it. And so PPE is pretty cool because there's no onboard booster. It is higher voltage, but when you get to a charging station that is like a Tesla supercharger with Magic Dock, the pack will split pack down to 400 volts, same as Tesla Cybertruck, and we're starting to see this come from other EVs now. The back of the Macan is not my favorite shape. You guys know that. I really love the front of it. This is actually a red car or an orange car underneath this black wrap. This thing is just, again, one of those early test cars. Looks like it's optioned without the passenger screen, sort of the base seats. Alcantara steering wheel though, that's pretty cool. You can see they have all the snaps for the dashboard cover. So all the spy photos that you guys have been taking photos of Macans in the US, well, guess what? I'm driving this one today, and truly, there's almost no one who has the opportunity to do this. So I have to say a huge thanks to Porsche for letting me have a go. Let's get in the car. Let's hit the road. I'll tell you about it throughout the drive. Again, the highway is only about 2 miles that way. So we're going to get up there, lock the suspension in low, sit at 70 for as much time as possible, and then run the loop from, right now the car's at 100% state of charge, all the way down as low as possible. This is freaking epic. Let's go do it. Well, it's time to hit the road. Robert, can you be on camera?
Yep.
Welcome to YouTube.
Hi.
So, Robert, you were hugely instrumental in the Macan. What was your responsibility for the car?
I am the director for Complete Vehicle, so I'm responsible for reaching all the technical goals, like of course range as well. So that's my main job.
Great. So you're responsible for everything the car has to do, and then range is just one of those small components.
Exactly. So it's obviously not me alone, but I'm one of the guys here.
Amazing. Well, I can't thank you enough for taking the day to do this with us.
As I said, nice to have you here. So let's hit the road.
Let's do it. So to stop charging, it actually looks like it flashed for a second, maybe not. We click the unlock button.
Exactly.
We'll wait for the light to turn on, is how Taycan works, and then we can remove the pin. Why do you have the button though when we have the latch?
Well, because in Europe we don't have that latch.
Yeah, but it's America.
Well, yeah, but we don't do that much
Sure.
variance, you know.
Yeah, and most automakers work this way as well. So we'll put this charge point unit away. That Model 3 took this one from this side. Okay, a little bit complicated. Let's jump in. Let's take a look at the settings and get everything set. I do have to grab some equipment, so I'll throw this in the car and we'll get everything set. Well, guys, you join me in the car with Robert, and we are going to be driving all day.
We do, yeah.
The only thing we might want to do if it gets really sunny is to close this roof.
As you wish. So we just take off the camera if you don't need this one, and then we just close it.
Yep, I think we'll do that. So we're sitting at 100%. We have climate control off right now, not to burn anything. This one does have a heat pump, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay, but there's no heat scavenging on the car.
No.
So what was the reasoning for that one?
Maybe once again, what do you mean by heat scavenging?
So if you if the battery's really hot in the winter time after a DC session, you can't transfer the heat.
Well, of course we do.
Oh, you do.
We won't let any jewel get out of the car.
Ah, so amazing.
We of course use the energy, the temperature energy of the battery to heat.
Okay, because some of the colleagues in our previous video said that this was not the case, but maybe they don't fully.
They didn't know.
They didn't know. Oh, great, because this was my main issue with the car.
No. Yeah. We of course do that. This is quite a complex thermal management system, and when we have a hot battery, we bring the energy obviously
into the cabin when needed. So we have the battery temperature at 65 degrees Fahrenheit. That's just an average temperature.
Yeah, but this is a setup where we won't get into any battery cooling or heating in a moment. So that's why we choose it this way.
Perfect. That's amazing. And so let's just reset the consumption figures one last time. I think I can come in here and we'll reset all, if that's okay.
Of course.
Okay, great. So we're good. Let's go climate control on auto, but we will go to, we go anywhere between 68 and 72.
Whatever you want, you go to sync.
There we go. Perfect. We're not going to run any cooled seats or anything like that. We don't want to have any extra draw.
You open that vent again. If it's closed, so you push it to the right side.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Nice vents, actually. Good ambient lighting as well. And let's not waste any time. We will go into drive. There's no regen setting on the steering wheel in this particular one.
You can bring it on the joker key here, but regen is off in a moment.
Okay, great. Well, we don't want regen.
That's what you hear.
Because we want to coast as much as possible.
Exactly. So just put in the target.
Yep.
To see the route calculation. So it's desert center.
Okay. So it's 127 miles out. We'll come back and then we'll loop around closer.
You're gonna see that the range estimation slightly changed.
Yep, because
so that's the range. When you see that blue arrow, it's route based. And in the moment the car says we're gonna hit that point with 53% SOC.
Fantastic. What's really interesting to our audience is this is my first time driving the Macan. I cannot say anything about how it drives until maybe the next video that comes out. So let me just run through. Let's make sure everything is set. So drive mode, we're going to have in normal. Because there's no range mode. We'll talk about that as we drive. We're going to put the level to the lowest.
I wouldn't do it yet, just because get out of.
We might scrape getting out.
Exactly,
okay.
But I will.
As soon as we hit the road, we'll go down. Electric sport sound off. Spoiler, we'll go to an efficient setting. Let's go into drive. My first time driving the Macan. I can't tell you anything about how this feels. We are moving, we can say that. But let's hit the road. So how far away are we roughly from the highway then? About 2 miles?
Roughly 2 miles.
Okay, so this is a little bit longer than I like, but not the end of the
You should see it in the head-up display. See it as well here.
Yep. The head-up display is working and functioning. That is not a driving impression. So let's head out and we'll catch up with you guys along the drive.
So now we go on low level.
Yep. Sounds great. And I should turn right here then. Okay, fantastic. First little bit in the Macan. How cool is it that I'm driving it? That's not to say it drives good or bad. I can't tell you. See you along the way. We'll catch up with you as we merge up onto the highway. Well, we are just about to officially start this test 1.5 miles over here to the on-ramp. We are going to be annoying some Californians today going 70 miles an hour. So it'll be some aggressive passes possibly, and then just camping. We aren't going to sit in the left lane. We're going to try and let traffic flow as much as possible. But typically when we do these tests, they are done, of course, in Wyoming, where we don't really have to deal with much traffic like you see here. So that's why we're not really considering this one a range test, more of an efficiency run, but we will do the best we can. And of course, I'll leave you with the impressions from my side of the sort of battery capacity, range, and efficiency at different speeds that we experience. So let's try and get over into the left lane now. Gentle accelerations to not have too much heat loss. Of course, we want to just get the thing up to 70 gently and let it cruise. We do have adaptive cruise control on this one as well, which I will be using. So just nice, easy inputs like we always do. And we will verify the speedometer at 70 mile/hour GPS. We will set the cruise control, and we have many hours of this to go. So cruise is set at 70, and we are off cruising along. Well, Robert, up until this exact moment, we've done a pretty good job of maintaining 70.
You're right, until this traffic jam is coming up.
Yes, now we've hit some traffic. So this is why, of course, we do our real testing in Wyoming and Nebraska, where there's really nothing. But we've been driving for an hour at 70 miles/hour constant. We've gotten 278 watt-hour per mile, which is incredible. But we've gone down a little bit, at least where we are right now. So hard to say exactly, but it does look like traffic is picking up. Again, I can't tell you how the Macan is driving. I could say we did play around with the route planner, and like I mentioned in the previous video on this car, that is incredibly fast, incredibly snappy. I know you had a big part of making sure that route planner just works.
Right.
What was that process like? Because you're a real EV road tripper. You're like our audience, super nerd, getting to chargers at 0%. What was the goal here for the route planner?
Well, as I said, the main goal was to really get it quick and get it accurate. And we as a company did a lot of experience in the Taycan on that topic, route planning and charging planning. And we put all that experience into this car. And as you said, it's, I guess, in German we would say, it's not too bad.
It's not too bad. That's a very German response. But I have to say, yeah, the efficiency is looking great so far. Again, we don't really have a clue until we make the return loop of really how it's doing. But even with this stop and go traffic, it looks like it's going to clear up pretty soon, I hope. It says still about 1 hour to go 66 miles, so I think it's just going to be a short burst of traffic. We'll still get a pretty good idea of how this car does in terms of range, and of course, what an opportunity to learn about it and experience it ahead of the market introduction. And then of course, all the videos in 2024 with this thing, the road trips, the charging tests, it's all coming, I promise. But let's get through the test. I'll update you, of course, at our percentage milestones like we always do at 75%, 50%, 25, and then what happens when we run it down to 0, assuming we have enough time in the day to do that. So should be fun. Well, we seem to be catching your viewers just as we come off 70 miles an hour, but we had that traffic jam we left you in, and then we had a great stint of 70 up until now, where we're in a sort of hill climb in a work zone. But we've just come off of 75% state of charge. We hit it at about 94 miles or so, which would indicate massive range potential. But of course, these things are never completely linear. We are going to have to do a loop, and so we've found a turnaround point that we're going to get to at around 51% state of charge, which is pretty brave. And then we will turn around and go back if for whatever reason we need a bailout. This is California, there's chargers everywhere. We can always pull in a little bit early and juice up, but the goal is to get back to the hotel as low as possible. And I'm a little bit worried about traffic later on in the day getting back in. Of course, it's not a weekend, this is a Monday right now, so yeah, well, of course, I really can't wait to get the car back to Colorado on our typical loop and see what it does. But what a great way to get an impression. And the efficiency numbers right now are off the charts, amazing, under 300 watt-hour per mile. But we have to factor in elevation, and there's some moving traffic helping push the air out of the way and stuff like that. So it's not a good representative number at the moment. Battery temperature is looking good. We've just come up a couple degrees. We're at 71. Still should retain full capacity here at this temperature and not need any conditioning. So all is good in my book. And here we are back up to 70 miles per hour, cruising along again. Yeah, good stuff. What a great way to spend a day. Well, you join us approaching our turnaround point. We've gone pretty far. We're at 54% state of charge, and we have traveled 163.7 miles. Now, if we were to continue on this path and have these types of conditions, of course, we're at slightly lower elevation than when we started, but we would have well over 300 miles at 70 miles per hour, which is probably what we'll see when we do the test out in Colorado with a little bit less air density. And should be great. We've just had a great time nerding out about the Macan and talking about design decisions. All these fun things have been really fun to discuss, and now we are getting at our halfway point. So what we are going to do is just gently come off of 70 miles an hour. Of course, we're going to try and minimize the amount of friction braking that we have, but of course, using mostly regen here, we probably won't use any friction brakes. And then we are going to gently merge back onto the highway. So you guys have done plenty of these loops with me in the past, so let's just keep an eye out for traffic. That was allegedly a full stop if anyone from the California State Highway Patrol was watching.
It was.
Yep, we are here testing. We don't have time to stop. So just gentle accelerations and decelerations, get back up onto the highway, set the speedometer at 70 miles an hour. We have quite a turn to make, and we will use every bit of the road. I think you guys paid road tax this year on this car. I saw a license plate.
Yeah.
So we paid for it. We'll use it. And now just gently getting back up to the speed. It's been a wonderful cruise so far. Really good conditions. Couple little traffic areas from time to time, but nothing too bad. Again, we're not considering it a full, official test that will say, here's how far the Macan goes. But I'm thinking we're going to get pretty close to 300 miles in this test. We have a couple bailout options if we can't quite make it all the way back. And I think we probably won't be able to make it all the way back since we've done 165 miles to get here. So we'll have to hit a charger, but we're going to get as close as we can, at least in the same elevation profile as to where we started. Always a blast. Let's see what happens. You guys join me now at 50% state of charge, and we have driven 175 miles, near as makes no difference. That would indicate well over a 300 mile total range on the vehicle. And we do have to gain some elevation back, but you can see the conditions are looking good. We really have maintained 70 miles an hour for most of this drive. I'm not going to say it's scientific or perfect, but my impression is we really have just been cruising at 70 for at least 90 to 95% of the drive today. So pretty impressive range. Again, I don't know what the EPA results are going to be for the Macan EV, and of course, different wheels and tires and different powertrain configurations will impact it. But here, at least in the longest range spec that you can get, I think I'm pretty comfortable saying even at this point, 300 miles is no problem on one charge if you keep the speeds in check. So this is great news, and we still have more to do, more driving distance to go. I doubt we'll actually make it back to our starting point, so we're going to look for bailout options as we get over the hill in that direction. We got more distance and more driving to do, but wow, the range and the efficiency, just, we're talking a high 3 mile per kilowatt hour range right now. And, perfect temperature outside, 67 degrees or so. Beautiful views out here in the desert. Great way to spend a day at work. Guys, check out the view and the conditions on the way back. We have just been pegged at 70. Just talking to Robert here, it would be way more efficient to just coast down this hill actually and pick up some speed. Unfortunately, that falls out of our typical testing procedures, although coasting is always more efficient than, of course, getting some losses by charging up the battery through recuperation. Guys, we are still cruising along at 70. We've had one hell of a run. And we are at 10% state of charge. You can see we're just on a little bit of a climb and just about 300 watt hour per mile so far, but we're down to the final 10%. So let's see what happens. Guys, we have done 287.5 miles. We are at 7% state of charge, and we are coming into a slight bit of traffic. It doesn't seem too bad. You can see the left lane's getting clogged up here. So we've pretty much done this entire return sitting at 70 constant. We knew, of course, coming back into LA that we'd hit a little bit moving traffic, but definitely, without question, 300 miles at 70 miles an hour. Very achievable in this configuration Macan EV. We are, of course, going to run it out to 0. So let's go keep doing that. We're actually, the traffic wasn't that bad. We're back up to pretty much 70 miles an hour again. So let's get it there and lock it in. But yeah, wow, 7% remaining. Battery temperature's looking good. 306 watt hour per mile at the moment. That is pretty efficient considering we've just been sitting on the highway. We're 4.5 hours into this drive. And so it'll be roughly, 5 hours on a charge at highway speeds is pretty damn good. Still cruising along now, 6% state of charge. We're just looking at some bailout options to see what chargers we can make it to. What's really cool is this car, of course, shows you all of the infrastructure in the ground and all of the charging points with a really fast route planner. Really impressive to me. Looks like we'll hit one of these chargers over in that Colton area. Yeah, that looks like the farthest one we can make it to. So yeah, we'll find something along the way, and yeah, we're still rocking just fine. Definitely hitting 300 miles today. Well, guys, we're getting into a little bit of traffic, but I just wanted to show you here. We are just about to crest 300 miles. We still have 5% in the tank right now, and certainly cruising along just fine. Let's just wait for that 300 number, 299.9. And there we go, the magic 300 number. I think at the end of the day, you guys and I will probably agree, it's just nice to know that a car can do 300 miles with plenty left over. And again, we've just been cruising at good highway speeds the entire time. This is really the only bit in the last couple hours where we've had to come off 70 miles an hour. From my impression, it's actually not too far away from what we would normally get in Colorado. So yep, just sitting and cruising, a very impressive number. I did not expect 300 miles when we started this video this morning. I expected certainly high 200s, but didn't think we'd break into the 3s. And yet here we are with plenty left. Well, guys, we've come off the highway. We're just exiting 315.8 miles at 70 miles an hour is what we have achieved so far. Again, it was about 1.5 miles to the highway, so I think we can comfortably say 314, 315 miles, and there's still 3% remaining, which of course we're going to try and burn off here on some of these roads around, which it just looks like traffic complete. Oh, maybe after the red light it'll be okay. So fingers crossed, but we're going to go burn it down to 0. Shouldn't take too long, and then we'll of course get you a final number from this test. So of course we used up all the highway range we could, and now we're just out on the frontage roads driving this thing down to 0 before we head over to the charger, which is just down the road. By the way, that flickering is not in the car. That is just a frame rate issue with the camera. You guys see that in all the cars we test. So yeah, we're just going to cruise along here. 2% state of charge, and we got a couple different warnings that popped up on the way. One at roughly 40 miles of range, one at roughly 14 miles of range that suggested that we charge up. So again, we'll go as far as we can in this direction at 45, 50 miles an hour, and then we'll turn around and go back. Well, we are pulling the pre-production Taycan into a Mexican restaurant parking lot, just going gentle because we do have it in the lowest suspension, no scraping. Let's flip around, and we should arrive at 0%. That's what we like to see. So off we go, back the same direction we came, and I'll see you at the charger. Guys, check this out, 320 miles now as we come in through traffic by a high school. So that's cool, good number. We still got some more to go. You join us at dash to empty with 1% remaining. Some other battery indications on, which is typical with what happens when you run an electric car down to 0. We're gonna do just gentle cruising over to the charger now. We finished up our loops. We're roughly, I don't know, half a mile away. So let's get over there and we'll end the test, and I'll share my impressions of the efficiency and range. And here we are, guys. We have arrived, dash to empty. There is still 1% remaining on the screen, but timing was just getting close. And honestly, I was pleased if we hit 300 miles, and we got pretty damn over that. Let's just take a look here at the final results. 322.5. Again, we've been at 1% for some amount of time, and this thing will definitely, my understanding is it has a sort of a shut off when it hits 0, and then maybe another couple hundred watt hours below like Taycan does below. But here it is. We just did over 5 hours of driving on one charge in the Macan EV, Robert and I, with climate control running at highway speeds, using adaptive cruise control, not, you know, really gaming the system. I wouldn't say it's how we would do a range test in Colorado, but it was pretty damn close, actually. So I am extremely impressed with this number here. It certainly is like 300 miles, no problem. Kind of almost any conditions if you keep the speeds in check. That is awesome. I'm going to take you just on another quick tour of the car. We're going to get it plugged in and charging. Of course, this is not a charging test of any kind. We just need to get some juice in this thing so we can get back to where we started. We're only a couple miles away from the hotel, so it shouldn't be long now. But you can see we have this thing dumped out in low suspension at the moment. And yeah, all good. By the way, 0.25 coefficient of drag on this one. I've been learning a little bit about it. These flaps up front are active. So actually, whenever the car is parked, they're left open. Honestly, they were saying because if it freezes, they don't want to get them stuck closed. So they stay open. But when you're driving with a minimal HVAC load, those close for better efficiency. This is all production looking car for the most part, bumper styling. This is just a wrap again over the standard car. So it's all looking good here from my perspective. And wow, what a cool test. So I think the charge port opens just with a tap. This one's powered. This is the AC port on this particular side. So I'm going to head over here to the DC side. Of course, if I hit this, it's going to have to close the other side, and then this one can open. So we'll give that just a quick second. There it goes. And we have our CCS 1 port on this particular one, being a somewhat US spec car. I guess it does have the orange markers on everything. Yeah, good stuff. Well, let me get it plugged in. Well, guys, just to end the video, wanted to talk a little bit about that range. Again, I can't share how it drives yet, but stay tuned for a future video. Of course, when I'm able to tell you about my experience and do all the cool stuff with Macan that we want to do, I certainly will. But ultimately, 5 hours of driving on the motorway, over 320 miles of range. Of course, I gave you that full 322.5 with 1% left remaining. It's not typically like us to end at 1%, but of course, with me just trying to catch a flight, I didn't want to run it all the way out to 0. We did at least get dash on the miles, so I think we were pretty down there to be sure. Car, honestly, you know, the range is more than enough. You have a 100 kilowatt hour gross pack. I'm not sure what's usable. Of course, we can somewhat extrapolate the data, but it's not perfect because of a whole bunch of different reasons as to why extrapolation's not always easy. But huge range. There you go. Ultimate road tripper with, of course, we know the charging performance that I spoke about in the previous video. I cannot wait to get this one in the 10% challenge, driving on road trips, do all the stories, all the adventures. Really curious to see what you guys think in the comments below. That is actually significantly more range than we've ever gotten in Taycan. Pretty cool. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on another one soon. Bye-bye.